I don't know how to do intros. They are really quite embarrassing and awkward. So, hi, basically. You may not notice this, but it's actually 11:05 at night and I have a job interview tomorrow, but I thought what a great opportunity to do a book review. So that's what I'm here to be doing right now. I don't have proper studio lights, so I currently have my desk lamp behind the camera shining at me. Because I'm really professional. Today we're going to be talking about the Penelopiad by Margaret Atwood. If you don't know, the Penelopiad is basically a version of the Odyssey from Penelope's point of view, and if you have not read the Odyssey, then I guess this book would be kind of confusing. But the Odyssey is about a man called Odysseus, and it follows the structure of a Greek epic poem. And Odysseus is basically this great hero who has a massive, great big quest in order to come home and rejoin his wife Penelope in Ithaca. And he's gone for quite a few years, and this is a book telling Penelope's kind of life story from before she met Odysseus until when they got married, and then what happened while he was away and her version of events from when he got home. And I guess I can't really tell you much about this book without spoiling the Odyssey, so if you have not read the Odyssey, then I apologise. You may want to not watch this video. But yeah, I read this for university and it was okay actually. It wasn't my favourite book, but I thought it was alright. I mean, if it wasn't Margaret Atwood, I think I would have struggled with it a bit more, because she's a fantastic writer. So the first thing I want to say is that I didn't read this in the book. I read it, I listened to it on Audiobook, which if you want to read this book, then I would highly recommend listening to an audiobook, because sometimes I read parts of it in the book and it just comes out so much better in the audiobook. Like, the woman who narrates it, I'm not quite sure who it is, I can't really remember, but she does such a fantastic job of talking through Penelope and the other characters, and especially the maids. They were so haunting. I think the way that they portrayed the maids in the audiobook was just absolutely fantastic. It really came across their hurt and betrayal, and the way they felt throughout this story. And if you have read the Odyssey, then you would know that at the end of the Odyssey, Odysseus hangs the 12 maids who either betrayed him or kind of slept with the suitors that were going after Penelope, so he considered them to be traitors. He made them clean up the mess that he made when he was killing all the suitors, and then he hung all 12 of them. Well, the son Telemachus, the son Telemachus hung all 12 of the maids, and it's really brutal and quite graphic, and that's considered to be quite an unheroic thing, and I wrote an entire essay about it, so it's kind of still in my head. These 12 maids are a massive part of this book. They come across as quite sweet. They are basically Penelope's eyes and ears of the whole of Ithaca. She makes them spy on the suitors and gets information, and basically the whole reason they are seen to be betraying Odysseus is because Penelope made them use, or asked them, I guess, to have on this front that they didn't like Penelope or Odysseus or Telemachus. She asked them to be friendly to the suitors and to, get information from them and stuff. So, it's up for debate whether it was Penelope's fault or if it was just Odysseus, and if he would have killed them anyway. But the point is that the maids blame Penelope and Odysseus for their deaths, and haunts Odysseus, haunts Penelope in the in the underworld, but they try and haunt Odysseus, but every time they try to go near him, he is reborn and he decides to go into the afterlife. So that is one thing that I really enjoyed about this book. I loved the subtle portrayal of the afterlife. It was quite a small factor in this because obviously it's told from Penelope's point of view, and she doesn't choose to go to the afterlife, she chooses to stay in the underworld. And every time that Odysseus dies, he comes back and he goes back to the afterlife again because he's too afraid to confront his past mistakes. And I think that was just such a lovely way of like diverting from the original story. It was original content, I think, and it was just really amazingly well done. The use of poetry as well was just so amazing. It was just so original, I guess, considering the original source material was Greek epic poetry, and yet this was different poetry that was used. So the poetry that was used is a chorus line that the maids usually speak. They usually speak in chorus line, which is sort of like a poetry, and the way that it's portrayed in the audiobook is that all 12 of them say it together, so it sounds so creepy, and I wasn't expecting it when I first was listening to it because I tend to listen to audiobooks while I'm doing other things, and when it first came on I literally got so terrified. I was like, what the hell is that? But yeah, I really enjoyed the chorus lines in this book. I thought it was a really nice break between the chapters, and I think it characterised the maids really well. Getting on to the things I did not like about this book, because while I did like it, I didn't think it was the best. So I felt like it was piggybacking, I couldn't think of another word for it, off the original source material rather than it being its own independent book. It felt like it was there to just contradict the things that were said about Penelope in the Odyssey, because without digging too deep you can interpret Penelope very easily as being weak a lot of the time, but if you dig a little bit deeper you can find that she's actually quite a strong character. But on the surface she seems to be quite weak and unwilling to change what's happening in Ithaca. Well, Odysseus has gone with the suitors, and Telemachus is very angry at her about that. And I felt quite sorry for her, like the entire of this book. I mean, she was never really a character that I didn't feel sorry for, because I kind of hated Odysseus when I was reading the Odyssey, so I never really felt like Penelope had to do anything to earn my affection, really. I really did like the characterization of her in this book. She was very strong and independent, and she didn't let on this strong independence that she had. She was very unwilling to change her mind about certain things, and I just really liked that because it kept true to the characterization of her in the original source material whilst also giving her a new life. And I really liked that. Yeah, it kind of felt like it was there to contradict the Odyssey, and it didn't really have much independence from that. So some of the lines that were written were basically Penelope saying, oh, you must have heard this in the Odyssey, here is why that's wrong, rather than showing us, or it was very much a tale of Penelope saying, this is what I did, and then this is what I did afterwards, and then this is what I did, rather than, it was kind of breaking the show don't tell rule, which, I mean, I didn't really get that rule of it's quite a short book, but something I really enjoyed was how you could feel the dread and panic that the maids gave Odysseus in the underworld, because in this book he really shows to be like a slimy little man, really. He's quite unwilling to own up to his mistakes, and he's really annoying. He blames Penelope for a lot of things, and he's just not really different from the Odyssey. He's just annoying, and I don't like him. I think my main problem with this was the language that was used. It felt very slow. It just felt like there was so much more that could be added to make it much more like Penelope really cared what was happening. She just seemed like she was just kind of floating through this entire book, like not really caring that she was telling us what was happening. So yeah, that is my review on the Penelopiad. I enjoyed it while it lasted, but I do think there was a lot of things missing, and it could have, I guess, been a lot more interesting. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I guess I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, so that's just my middle point for books when I enjoy them but they're just not that great for me. Thank you for watching this book review, and I will see you next time in another video.